Good evening, Bruchim Abayim. Thank you to Torah Anytime. Thank you to Torah Anytime for doing such an amazing job of being Marbitz Torah to Gans Klal Yisrael. Tonight's the last Zera Shimshon on the Thursday night. Be'ez Hashem will try to do one on Tuesday. Be'ez Hashem covered right before Yom Tiv with a Zera Shimshon Maral. But for tonight, we're going to do the separate regular Zera Shimshon and then Maral. Tonight's Zera Shimshon is sponsored L'Zeicher L'Ilei Nishmas Aaron Menachem Ben Chaim, whose yahrzeit is today, as well as the medical test from the sponsor should go well. Mirz Hashem. Also sein gesinnt. In Parshas Boy, on page Tov Kuf Pei Gimel, it's in the middle of a very long piece of Yud Gimel. This piece actually has two parts to it. We are going to talk about the Korban Pesach, the dam that the Eibishter told Klal Yisrael to put the blood on the mashkoif and the shtei mezuzos. The Berger says, "V'risi es hadam," and I will see the blood, and I will subsequently upasachti, and I will pass over. The Berger will be pasach on the birthday of Bnei Yisrael. Like we taka say, Pesach shoyu shoy v'seinim oichlim b'zman Beis HaMikdash al shumah al shum shepasach HaKadosh Baruch Hu al bota v'seinu b'Mitzrayim. He was pasach, he jumped over. So, on page Tov Kuf Pei Gimel, ubederech zeh, first column, smack in the middle, ubederech zeh, Yevuar, welcome everybody. I just want to say, I know it's not easy. They're paving the parking lot.
Is it Pesach class so we don't get a ticket?
They're paving the parking lots on both sides. It's what we call in Ivrit a balagan. I understand that the Olam who came tonight and who's here came with real Mesiras Nefesh. So kol hakavod to the Olam that was able to show up. Kol hakavod. Now, ubederech ze yevur nami lama Moshe Omer v'yigatem el hamashka v'shtei mezuzos. The Zera Shimshon fragt a kasha. The Zera Shimshon asks a question. When the Eibishter told Moshe Rabbeinu to have the blood placed on the mashkoif, which is the top, right? The top. What's it called? The top dome, it's called a lintel, I think it's called. And then the two sides, which are the mezuzos. Lama Moshe Amar v'gatem el hamashkoif vel shtei mezuzos. He said mashkoif first, then shtei mezuzos. Im HaKadosh Baruch Hu tziva lehepach al mezuzos v'al hamashkoif. You know, it's a small detail, but at the end of the day, whatever the Rabbi Shalom says has to be bidiyuk, has to be exact. And if the Rabbi Shalom said shtei mezuzos and mashkoif, and Moshe Rabbeinu reversed the order and said mashkoif ushtei mezuzos, asks the Zera Shimshon, there's got to be a reason for that. What is the significance of the order that Moshe Rabbeinu felt the need to switch it around? Says the Zera Shimshon, as all good Rabbanim, Jewish Rabbanim, will answer the question, Mitnacha kasha. Well, don't forget, it's the night of questions, isn't it? We'll ask Mitchila Yeshadaktik Ma'inyan mitzvah zu. What is taka? If we could figure out a little bit, I know it's a choik, and I know the Berger says I want to pass over these houses, but vusepis with the blood on the doorway. Why this? What's the pshat in this mitzvah? Why this one? V'lama dafka. That's also a great question. Wouldn't it be sufficient to just put the blood on the mashkaif? Or one of the mezuzahs? Both of the mezuzahs and the mashkaif? Vusepis. Why do I have to have on 3 different places? Even if it's only in one place. You know, the Eibishter has good vision. He sees well. Blood, even a little speck of blood, just a drop would have been good enough. Very easy. I see you're doing what it takes. You're doing your Mesiris Nefesh. You shechted the carbon. It's Avodah Zarah of Mitzrayim, like we talked about. Mishchu Akhu. It's not so easy to have the guts to take Mitzrayim's Avodah Zarah, tie it up, shechted. You put the blood on the door. Do you really need the blood in all 3 places? Genuk, one of the places. V'zepes alle drei. And kedei sheyira hadam v'yidaleg oisam habotim shehem rishumim. That would be a rishum. That would be already marked off. And zo. V'av sha'amru. And I know that Chazal say shem keneged ha'avos. Oy Moshe v'Aharon the Eibishter. I know that there is certain symbolism that these represent. Aber b'chol zois. I need to understand, says the Zera Shimshon, maybe a little bit deeper. Why does the remez have to be by the Pesach? How about if you put the blood on the roof? Bird's eye view. Vusvold gewein then. Would that be okay? Doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it has to be dafka on the mashkef and the shtem. That's what the Eibishter said. You can't be innovative and decide, I want to put it somewhere else. I want to make a big X on the top of the roof. No. Zelo holech kacha. You can't do it that way. You put it where the Eibishter says. Oh, but what's taka the pshat? These are the questions of the Zera Shimshon. Enoch akasha. V'oid. Lamo hutztuch al kol hagos tvila. It wouldn't be appropriate, says P. Rashi, to dip the blood in and put it 1, 2, 3. You had to dip it in, mezuzah. Dip it in, mezuzah. Dip it in, mashkay. 3 different tefillas for 3 different applications. Lama. No, that's where the question is, Eli. Which is the correct order? When the Eibishter said, the Eibishter said, Al ha-mezuzos va-mashkaif. When Moshe Rabbeinu told Klal Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu says mashkaif and the mezuzos. He switched the order. I'm happy you pointed it out. Yochi just came in, so it's kedai to understand that Moshe switched around the order. That was his original question. Mapi told him that Moshe Rabbeinu would switch the order. V'g'moishe kosev Rashi b'posuk b'tvalta b'dam asher b'saf. Shaloi toimer tefila achas shalosh matones atach nemer oid asher basaf al kol hagod tefila. Yed mo vos mitgelek the dam every time they put the blood od gedav zayin nocha tefila. Vos tutzach do. What's going on? What is the remez? Zok the heilige Zera Shimshon. V'yesh loymar sheyadua shemitzrayim haya meleya chartumim menachashchim umechshofim. Mitzrayim was a place full of sorcery, full of witchcraft. Mitzrayim was a place full of tumah. Ubikishu feihem, with the kishuf that they had created, kashru es Yisrael shelo yetze misham, kedisa b'midrashim. The Gemara says, Chazal bring down, me'oilam loy barach eved mitzrayim. They were batting not 10 to nothing, not 100 to nothing, 1,000,000 to nothing. No Eved ever left Egypt. They were mekasher them with kishuf. You know, there's an invisible fence that people have. They have a dog. They have this invisible fence. Yeah? You know where the invisible fence started? In Mitzrayim. There was an invisible fence. Du weißt, was das meint? Yeah? Sie gewähnt a fence. But that they, more than, you couldn't go. You couldn't go out. They were stuck. There was kishuf. It was an invisible fence. An invisible fence around Egypt, you couldn't get out. the original of invisible fence of Geveni Mitzrayim, through Kishuf. V'chein Pirish Rashi, al posuk asher hitzel eschem miyad Mitzrayim. Ad achshav loy hoyo eved yochol livrach mitzrayim. Until that time, they were batting 1,000,000, not just 1,000. They were batting. Nobody went away. You were an eved, you couldn't leave. The elu yotzu shishim ribui, and when Klal Yisrael left, all 600,000, whoever wanted to go. Unfortunately, there were a bunch who didn't want to leave. They were stuck. There was a gewilt guy, whoever wanted to go, left. How did the kishuf, when and how was there an end to this kishuf? You know when? Now, with the mitzvah of dam al hapsochim. As we're about to learn tonight, the Zera Shimshon is mechadesh that it was the blood on the doorposts that created the passageway. In the Yitzris from Shabbos HaGodol, some people do, says that the mashkev and the Shnei Mezuzahs quoting the Medrash was the Zecher, the Mizbechos, that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov created. Avram, Yitzchak made mizbeachs and spritzed blood. Those mashkev and Shnei Mezuzah state in the Medrash was like a portal. They created a doorway from the energy of the Avos HaKadoshim. They created a doorway. As durch this doorway, you can go through all the kishuf. They created their own portal that they could be able to walk through. This mashkev and shnei, as we're about to learn, b'yeser oimek, or b'azoi state, that this was a heilige doorway created by the devotion of the Avos HaKadoshim. So now they had created a passageway within the block, within this invisible fence that Mitzrayim had made. Now they had a way of tunneling through, going out with their own Pesach. You should know that the place of the kishuv was placed on those houses. The Gemara in Chulin that he's about to quote, you know, the Gemara says, Meshana Mokim, Meshana Mazel. Mokim is one of the factors that has to do with a person's mazel. You move to a new house, you move to a new mokim, you're meshane mokim, and the mazel changes. Hopefully for the good, right? Meshane. Zaydo Yid in Los Angeles, a very mutzlach Yid. I don't know if I have rishus to say his name. Whoever knows who he is knows who he is. He lives on one of the not so wealthy blocks. He's a Yid who might be a billionaire. The very influential Talmud Chacham. In Los Angeles, there's a very fancy street, June Street, Las Palmas, Hudson, the Grosse Fensters. All of his kids live over there. He still lives on Alta Vista or Formosa, one of those blocks, the other side of the street. Arebatum gezukt, as long as you're in this house, you have good mazel. I wouldn't leave if I were you. This house has been good mazel. He stayed there. He didn't move. He's still there. And Taka has a lot of mazel. Big Talmud Chacham, Mechaber Svarim. He's still in the sense. Kinderlach live in huge houses. But him, I'm not moving. The Rebbe gezukt du binach. This is my mazel. I'm staying right over here. Kachazeh. It's good mazel in Yena house. That's where he is. So the house has to do with mazel. The Gemara says there's three things that are toli: tinoik, isha, and bias. Those three things, gutta mazel, they bring mazel. The Gemara Shomer, bias, tinoik, isha, afa pisha ein nochash. You're not allowed to be superstitious. Yesh siman. There's a siman. Zachar, gematria bracha. Menshata zachar, it's gematria bracha. Al koponim. The Iker HaKishiv Hu BePesach Habayis Chas V'Shalom. This is already the Zera Shimshon's being a little bit Kabbalistic with us. And he's telling us that you should know if there is a place where the Kishiv is Chal, it's by the Pesach of the Bais. V'Shteitos Kedisha B'Zoyer BeParshas V'Eschanan. There is Ruchei Bisha. The Shari Ben Tara. There is a spirit of negativity that is Betara, which is at the Shah, which is at the gateways of a house. And these koichos hara, can be shorted on the bias. Therefore, it is important and critical that a Yid place on the Pesach of his house, that he place the name of the Eibishter. Which mitzvah is that, gentlemen? Mezuzah. To place the mezuzah on the house to counter all of the negativity that comes. I heard from my Rabbi Scheiner that when a person builds a house, the mazikim and the shadim feel like we've encroached some of their place. The mazikim and the shadim feel like we've encroached their place. You know, there are a lot of halachas when you build a house and there's like a window, not to close up a window. The Olam knows about these halachas.
We have in our house a pipe.
You have a little pipe, that's right. Why? You don't want to start up with the shadim.
Square holes by heat.
When a person macht a house, you have to be very careful. Metunish farmachen a fenster, you have to leave it open. There are certain halachas, minhagim, api kabbalah. Chazal say that every time a person builds a house, ki'ilu, the koiches hara have a taina, that you're taking away some of our place. That's part of the expansion of a person. Expansion of a person. I've said it over in the past. The Rebbe Gezuk, Shteiten Goin. A person is mizgala, nigla, neshama, guf, levush, heichal. Neshama, a person has a neshama. The neshama embodies a guf. The guf embodies as levush, and then has a heichal. Each one says in Chazal, there's a mitzvah that goes along with it. Okay? The neshama on the guf is tefillin. On the body, the levush is tzitzis. And on the heichal is mezuzah. As I state in the Goin in Mishlei. Neshama is the men shalein. That's his neshama. That's the purity. That neshama is mislabish onto the guf, and you put on tefillin, which has which letters, Rabbi say? Shin, Daled, Yud. And then you have tzitzis, and then you also have the mezuzah, which also has the Shin, Daled, Yud. So in order to keep away these koiches, a person has to see to it that he has on the Pesach Beisoy the name of Hashem. Let's continue. Ishtakach zonin bishon loy mishtachi tamon loy yachon lekatreg lebarnash. When they have the name of Hashem, they cannot be mekatreg on a person. K'dechsiv, like it says, leisuna alecha ro v'nega layikrav ba'alecha. Right, that is when you have the shame of Hashem on your house. Vashem HaKodesh Shenir Roshim Sham Elavar. Dainu Shem Shin Dalid Al Shem Shu Mishaded Marochas Hashemayim Ve'ein Oid Milvadai Sha'oimer Lo'ilamai Dai. That name Shin Dalid Yud has the koyach to protect a person and his house. As Chazal say, we'll soon see the word mezuzah. Zaz mavet. Zaz, כמו שאומרים, זוז. Zaz mavet. שלא יהיה מוות בתוך הבית. That's the koyach of mezuzah.
What does zuz mean?
Zuz means to move. Well, no, you never were in Israel yet? No one ever. No, the zuz. Nacho, zuz mipo. Zaz mavet. B'diyuk. Start the heilig of Hachinam b'Yitzias Mitzrayim boto kol hakshofim v'osa Mitzrayim kineged Yisrael v'Yitzim l'cheres. The Eibishter was mevato all the koiches hara. Do you know how the Eibishter told Klal Yisrael to mevato the koiches hara? Sim hadam al ha-Pesach v'al ha-Mezuzah. 3 different applications. 1, 2, 3. This way you'll be writing Kaviyachol, the name of the Rabbeinu Shalom, with his mitzvahs. Not that you have to actually write the shin and write the dal or write the yud. You don't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. You have to put a little bit of blood on each of those doors. And with that, it'll be like the koiches of a mezuzah. Soon we'll see more. He wanted to put it on their house. So the mitzvah of mezuzah, although they didn't have the actual mitzvah itself, but the energy and the koyach and what mezuzah represents, which is that you couldn't have a more appropriate time that Klal Yisrael should need to be zaz mavet, like the night of Makkos Bechayres, because on that night there was mothers of gas, there was death on the street, and every single house, loyhoya bayas asher, loyhoya sham meis, people were dying in every single house, except for the house that had the koyach protection of zaz mavet. Zaz mipo. The mashches v'lo yiten ha-mashches lovo yel toich beisecha. The mashches is not coming in. Sheberoishim zen nisrachku kol ha-mekatrigim Yisrael. Any type of kitrig v'nispatnu kol ha-kshofim. Hoyul shadayin lo nitnu Torah. Tachlis, they couldn't put the actual mezuzah itself because it hadn't been given the Torah yet. But says the Zera Shimshon, they could do something similar to that. Similar, you know what? Do a maisa that's similar. Like he brings down when Avram Avinu wanted Eliezer to swear that he would listen to him. So he said, Sim no yotcha tachas yirechi. Why? Because that's where he had the bris milah. He didn't have tefillin, he didn't have sefer Torah. When afterwards, Klal Yisrael makes a shvua, you hold tefillin, you hold a sefer Torah, you take a davar shel kedusha. Back then, when Avram Avinu asked Eliezer to swear, he didn't have any davar shel kedusha except for in bris milah. That's what you're going to hold on to, because that's what we're going to go ahead and make. That's my davar shel kedusha. Hu adin over here, he didn't have yet mitzvahs mezuzah, but he had something similar. That's what says the Zera Shimshon. Now I understand why it's 3. Keneged gimel oisei shel shein, shin dalet and the yud. Hanira b'mezuzah, shu b'roshei teves. You know what Shakai stands for, Shin Daled Yud? Shomer Delosais Yisrael, who watches Delatot, the doors of Klal Yisrael. Shomer Delosais Yisrael. Shomer, he watches our doorways. Vu Hashem Shindalad Yud Avada Shemeshadem Arochas Umevato Kol Nechoshim V'Kshofim. All of the negativity becomes bottled. V'chein Ramas Gimel Shaloi V'tziva Lahem Al Kol Hago Tvila V'Yasa Tvila Achas. That's why I asked, says the Zera Shimshon, why don't you just do one? Each one is a separate letter. Letter Shin, letter Dalid, letter Yud, to represent the name of the Rabbi Shalom. That's why it was specific that you needed a separate Nisin on each one. Now, Hine, Oisios, you see where I am, Rabbi? So, Oisios mezuzah's name is Zaz Maves, Kinadoy Besoid HaMezuzah. Mezuzah is Gematria Samach Hey. Mem 40. Zayin, 14 plus 6, 60 plus 5, 65. Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud is 65. The name of Hashem, our master. Mezuzah is Adoi Aleph Dalet Nun Yud. I'm showing who the master of the world is by placing the mezuzah on the doorway. Mezuzah Gematria Aleph Dalet Nun Yud, the name of the Rabbi Shalom. Now, Zera Shimshon Shiur, if you spell out the name, where you spell out the name, Aleph Dalet, you see he writes it over here, Dahainu. That's a gematria of 671. Dahainu Pesach v'shar kenoida. That has to do with the koyach of Pesach and Shar. I'm not sure what that part is. V'korban nikra Pesach lefi shepasach HaKadosh Baruch Hu aleim v'tzilam min hamisa v'zeu zaz moves. So the Pesach, the korban Pesach, was the catalyst for the Klal Yisrael. V'oimar lach b'damayich chayi. With this blood you shall live. Now, says the Zera Shimshon Shiur, and here we come to the end. How many different types of bloods were on the doorway, Rabbi Sai? What blood was there?
Bris Milah.
Blood of the Bris Milah and the blood of the Dam Pesach. The Zera Shimshon is going to be mechadish that the Dam Pesachs were on the mezuzahs and the Dam Milah was on the mashkof.
It wasn't mixed.
No. They put Dam Milah and Dam Pesach. He says, the Af Mashkof. Mashkof. Here comes the kicker. Here comes the main point. Mashkof is Gematria Milah Moves. Right, that is 531. Milah is 85. Moves is 446, which is 531. Hamashkof is 531. Which blood went on the mezuzahs? The Dam HaPesach. Which blood went on the mashkof? The Dam Milah. Now, Yadua, that unfortunately Klal Yisrael was not very careful in Mitzrayim about keeping their Jewish identity ad hasoif. Yes, leishinu es l'shoinam, leishinu es mabusham. In a certain way, they were Yiddish, very Yiddish, but a lot of them didn't keep Bris Milah. The Medrash brings down, and he says, the Medrash brings down that Klal Yisrael did not, they forgot. Rambam brings it down, they forgot the tzivui of Avram Avinu, and they no longer identified with Avram. The Berger said, I want you to put Dam Milah, because this way I can remember the Dam of Avram Avinu himself. Hadam Shel Avram. Let's see it in the Zera Shimshon. V'izimish v'tevaltem al Adam besaf ma'ro kodesh baruch hu hagam Adam k'lei lizkor lehem dam milas Avraham. Avraham's Dam Milah. Ubeshtei domim nitzolim mitzrayim Dam Pesach v'Dam Milah. Hiksha yefei toyer. Why do you need Avram's Dam? They were also making Bris Milah. They were being Moiser Nefesh. Was Dafman hoping the dam from Avraham? Why do you need Avram's dam? Was Shlecht? What's wrong with the dam of the dam Alain of Klal Yisrael? Hiksha yefei the kivan domim b'shtei domim nitzolu ma'tzoich l'schus Avram. V'tiritz the salga daitoch, since Klal Yisrael, some of them were not careful with Bris Milah. Maybe now that they do Bris Milah, the Eibishter would say, too little, too late. Now you remember after all this time? Therefore, the Rabbi Shalom wanted that there should be a schus of Avram Avinu. Let me share with you exactly how it says it in the Medrash. Listen to what it says. Perek Yutes, Pasuk Hey. Zokter Azoy. Amr b'shem b'achalav tekivin she'otzi yisrael mitzrayim HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Moshe Yisrael yisrael mitzvahs Pesach. You tell them about mitzvahs Pesach, kol b'neicha lo yochel bo, and anybody who has an orel, arelim, lo yochlu. Rabbi Seinu Amru.
Didn't they want to be part of it?
Rabbi Seinu Amru. Loi Bikshu Yisrael Lomo b'Mitzrayim. They didn't want to take a bris milah Mitzrayim. Chutz mishevet Levi. Shenema v'lalevi Amar tumecha v'irecha. V'lama kishamu emreisecho brischa yintzayru. Levi was always a shomer habris. Hoya Kodesh Baruch Hu mevakesh legoy alom. When Hashem was ready to take them out of Olam Schus, Me'aseh Kodesh Baruch Hu kara l'Moshe Ramalei Leich u'Moy Loisam. Go ahead and make them a milah. Says Mama Kodesh Baruch Hu sheyasu Pesach v'kivan she'asu Moshe Pesach goes to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and the problem was, as the Medrash says, some Yidden did the bris milah, and some Yidden did not do bris milah. They were still holdouts. Ma'asu HaKadosh Baruch Hu goza la'ar beruchos ha'olam noisheves began Eden. The Eibishter took a wind from Gan Eden. V'holchu v'nidbeku ba'oisei Pesach. And then the winds of Gan Eden, the smell of Gan Eden, was nidbak in Moshe Rabbeinu's Korban Pesach. Smelling Moshe, I said this once years ago, smelling Moshe Rabbeinu's Korban Pesach, they smelled Gan Eden. They came to Moshe, it went so far like you could walk for 40 days. The Reich went everywhere. Niskasu kol Yisrael eitza Moshe Omer b'vakasha hechalnu mepischo anachnu aifim me'areach meken nicht aushalten ich chalish I need this Korban Pesach. You know what Moshe Rabbeinu said to them? No milah, no Korban Pesach. You didn't do bris milah. You can't have it. Hoya oima HaKadosh Baruch Hu einatem nemoilim, einatem oichlim. Miyad, says the Medrash. Miyad nosnu atzmam umalu. They did bris milah.
Yosef did the same thing with the mitzvah. If you guys don't do bris milah, we're not gonna.
Klal Yisrael v'nis arev dam ha-pesach b'dam ha-milah v'HaKadosh Baruch Hu oive v'noi tekol echad v'echad v'noishka mevorchai shenemar v'erev mizbaisez v'erev alayich v'ech mizbaisezech damayich v'oim alach b'damayich chayi dam pesach v'dam milah. Says the Zera Shimshon, let's be honest, is this the way you're supposed to do bris milah? The Eibishter master him take out the reich from Gan Eden. It's a shvacha maisa. You should do bris milah without it. But you know the Eibishter loves us so much. He says, if you're not willing to do it, I'll make it sweet for you. I won't tell you, hit you over the head, if you don't do it, you're going to die. I'm going to make you so enticed. I'll take the reich of Gan Eden and I'll mix it together so you see how gishmak it is to do a mitzvah. Says the Eibishter, you can do the Korban Pesach first and put on the mashkaif, and then you do the mezuzah, the dambrina. I'm okay with that. Moshe Rabbeinu said, Klal Yisrael, sepas nisht. I have to make a Korban Pesach that the smell should entice you. Do your bris milah right away. Put first the mashkaif, nachdem leg the mezuzahs. The mashkaif is the dam milah. Zok the Zera Shimshon. Listen to this gewaldige word. Zok the Zera Shimshon. Why was the Eibishter saying do the mashkaif then the mezuzah? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu switch it around and say adarabba mach vakert? First do the mashkav and the shem mezuzah. The teretz is the Eibishter is saying, listen, I'm willing to let you go out even if I have to entice you to do the bris milah. It's okay. I'll remember Avram's dam. I remember him Your dam will be more his dam. Meken legen the mezuzahs, und noch dem legen the mashkef. It's fine. It's okay that the korban Pesach comes first. But Moshe Rabbeinu says, listen to me. I know what the Eibishter said, but you want to do it im kvar as kvar. If you want to do it, you want to do it right. First put the blood on the mashkef, which means first do dam milah. Do it the right way. Show the Eibishter you're devoted. Don't make him go ahead and entice you to go and do that. First fakert. First put the bris milah. Nem dort nachdem. After you do that, then you'll make the korban Pesach. Zog the Eibishter, even if you don't do it, it's fine. I'm telling you, I'm willing to take it memon of shach. Du willst machen the korban Pesach koidem, es wird sein Areich von korban Pesach, nachdem like the damilo, gesundheit. Ani posachti, I'll take you, I'll kiss you, and I'll take you out of Mitzrayim.